over national disagreement between the state chairman, Ade Adetimei, and the Southern Senatorial chairman, Dr. Deji Oyedele. A statement by Ondo APC Publicity Secretary Alex Kalajaye said the claim is baseless and imaginary, as the preoccupation of the State Working Committee is to ensure a credible Congress, believing that a rank-of-free primary starts from there. Ondo APC said the purported story is clearly the handiwork of elements that do not mean well for the cohesion and unity of the party in the state. The party advised members of the public to discard such crude blackmailing and gross misinformation as they surface. In the meantime, the road to the party's primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections has been dominated by twists and surprises. And as political parties beef up activities to meet up INEC's deadline on the conduct of primaries, the emergence of credible candidates rests with the delegates. Juliet Brunner was in town to query the public court on whether or not the most righteous of the delegates will not compromise in the face of money.
Unprecedented in the political space of Nigeria is a large number of aspirants that have turned up in parties ahead of next year's general election. As the clock ticks towards the conduct of party primaries, so many factors will play a huge role in the success of aspirants at the primaries. Voting at primaries is expected to be done by delegates, and I fear that has over time seen money-bagged politicians deploy funds to bribe or secure the votes of these delegates. This was confirmed by one of the national delegates of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Raphael Badamosi, who said the role of money cannot be underestimated, as it has become a pattern given the level of poverty and value erosion in the country.
It's not good for our development in this part of the world. And it has been a tradition that people believe that, oh, definitely if I'm a party member, if I'm an ESCO or a national delegate like this, the idea is the focus is always on the money that are going to be shared there, and people don't even care who brings the money, their pedigree, maybe they have been tested or they have been trusted, their antecedents, their performance in their former offices. But the major focus that I've seen in the recent time is that people focus more. They focus more on the monetary aspect of it, at the detriment of the development of the country.
While Mr. Badamosi hammered on the political space being largely controlled by the highest bidder, he is of the opinion that rolling out capturing the conscience of delegates with money might be a difficult task to achieve.
As long as you don't have enough muscle, you can't gather enough money to buy the candidate. They will always jettison you to go for the highest bidder. The people that have a deep pocket, and that has always been the bane of this society, because we place too much value on money, and in the end we elect people that cannot do it, that doesn't have the wherewithal, that doesn't have the they don't have the knowledge of how to actually manage the economy, and that is why we are today.
For the Director of Media and Publicity, PDP Ondo State, Mr. Loye, and the Publicity Secretary of the Social Democratic Party, Mr. Remi, electing the right candidates should be the goal for delegates.
Everything is not about money. It's wrong for you to just take money and collect money from the one you that says he wants to serve you. If he actually wants to serve you, it is you that should be giving money, to help him achieve that project. But if you keep on collecting money from them, it means they are investing their money. So at the end of the day, when they get to positions, they want to recoup their money.
People should be represented not on the basis of the money they can dole out and millions of naira that they should give you. No, it should be the collective wishes of the people that, look, this is our representative, it should be. It was so in the days of Aulo, it was so in the days of the UPN, it was so in the days of the Adefaratis and so on. In those states, where people from their various communities say, these are the people we want.
Bearing any unforeseen challenges, the primaries of the parties convened to present candidates for the presidential, governorship, and National Assembly elections will be held in the next couple of weeks, thereby fast-tracking the journey to the 2023 elections. While the politics gets heated up, the forthcoming elections, no doubt, will be a point of reference for the desired Nigeria of the old and the young. Juliet Buna, Osrc News.
The efficiency of the civil service determines the effectiveness of any government. Governor Oluwarotimi spoke while declaring open the 2022 Southwest Heads of Service Strategic Meeting held at the International Culture and Event Center, the Dome, in Akure. The summit has as its theme, Rethinking Civil Service in a Digital World. Southwest Heads of Service Summit is designed to bring together past and present heads of service as well as top civil servants to deliberate on ways of improving the quality of work in the civil service. Declaring the summit themed Rethinking Civil Service in a Digital World Open, Governor Oluwarotimi, represented by his deputy Lucky Ayedatiwa, said the theme of the strategic meeting is apt as information communication technology (ICT) offers immense benefits to the government and citizens. Ayedatiwa emphasized that the ICT helps government to deliver its policies and programs more effectively, as evidently seen in Ondo State through the various achievements recorded.
The time has come, therefore, for the public service in the Southwest to migrate fully, not partially, from analog or semi-analog approach to full digitalization of its activities. This will make room for smarter, faster, more effective work process and consequently better and efficient service delivery.
Wildcats expressed delight at hosting the summit, said Ondo State has and will continue to support the growth of civil service.
The Southwest Heads of Service Summit, which debuted in Lagos State in year 2011, has come a long way. It has been a veritable tool for peer review and learning platform for exchange of ideas in best practices in public service and human resource management, among others. The summit has greatly enriched our respective public services in Western Nigeria.
The summit, which began on the 19th of May, would end on Friday, the 20th. Meanwhile, heads of service from the southwest region of the country have resolved to initiate more reforms for the digitalization of the service to cope with modern-day reality. They spoke at the 11th edition of the strategic meeting held in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Osrc's Richard Elizabeth captains the story.
One of the breakthroughs heralded by the 21st century is the information communication technology, which has revolutionized all sectors of the economy. The civil service, which is the engine of program formulation and implementation, cannot be left behind in this digital age, making the theme of this year's Heads of Service in the Southwest Zone timely. Tagged Rethinking the Civil Service in a Digital World, the strategic meeting snowballed to a plenary session where critical issues that could position the service for optimal performance were dissected.
Train workers.
A former head of service in Ondo State, Mr. Joseph Kudanyibu, advocated the need to make computer literacy compulsory for new entrants into the service to cope with modern-day reality.
It will be a tragedy. A true act of omission or commission, the civil service is allowed to go under by players. By players, I mean all of us here, who fail to grab the moment and offer a lifeline.
In their goodwill messages, two former heads of service in the state, Mr. Mudupe Omolorun and Prince Fioye Bajawa, stressed the need for necessary reforms tailored to the peculiarities of each state.
You can unify the political scheme. Please don't extend it to the civil service. We don't have a choice not to move along with the digital world, because what is important today is not really about a contract of employment but contract for service.
Good messages from the Commissioner for Regional Integration, Mrs. Bamindele Ademola Olateju, Director General, Don Commission, Sheye Oyeleye, and some past top bureaucrats advocated the repositioning of the service to cope with new developments.
I think the goal of this rethinking civil service in the digital world is to deliver government services and programs more efficiently, more transparently, and cost-effectively.
The adoption of information and communication technology, ICT, in the process of delivering these goods and services can be considered an innovation that contributes to the professionalism of the service.
Heads of service from Ogun, Oyo, Ekiti, Osun, and Lagos states who highlighted their level of digitization, said events will further support them to initiate more reforms. It is the 11th in the series of the strategic meeting. Richard Ilesomi, Osrc News.
To accelerate change by living above board in their dealings and adhere to the ethics of integrity at the workplace. Resource persons at a 3-day capacity building program organized for staff of the Engineering Materials Development Institute in Akure, Ondo State, said transparency in government transactions is key to end the menace of corruption. Osrc reporter Zimo Ebiemi will cover the event and his report.
The 3-day capacity building program, organized by the Engineering Materials Development Institute in collaboration with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, was to update their staffs on the nitty-gritty of the job. The training program, attended by top personnel of the ICPC, took staff through the ethics of the profession and all issues related to corruption and corrupt practices. The chairman of the Engineering Materials Development Institute, represented by the Director of Administration and Human Resources, Mrs. Fausat Yusuf, urged participants to use the knowledge gained at the workshop to fight corruption in the society.
As you all know, the corruption is a problem faced our society in the area of transparency, good governance and poverty. It drains the public resources, the lives of the people out of poverty. The fight against corruption is a battle for different souls of our country, and it's one that we must win.
The ICPC chairman, Professor Bolaji Olasoye, represented by the Deputy Director of Corruption Monitoring and Evaluation System, Mr. Olayinka Ayebayo, said the workshop will be a continuous exercise to ensure optimum performance of staff.
This capacity building event will further give the ACTU the requisite knowledge required in winning the fight against corruption in your respective MDs. Let me remind the ACTUs that they have a role to play through their mandate in achieving a sanitized system and workplace. In this way, I implore you to work in collaboration with the management and staff of your institute to promote a corrupt-free organization.
3 resource persons presented papers on various crimes and their consequences.
Your religious friends, whether you work with your children, your wife, your relation, that is corruption.
Some of the participants who spoke with Osrc said gains from the training will reflect in their jobs.
It has to begin from individuals, and that also starts from me.
I, as a participant working in government establishment, have been made to understand that even when people are doing it the wrong thing, I must not do it.
It's running over from generation to generation. So the first thing, inform people, tell them the good and the bad in our society.
They also use the occasion to caution against collaborations that could undermine the fight to end corruption in the society. Zimo Ebiemi, Osrc News.
The Federal University of Technology, Akure, has held an end-of-tenure Thanksgiving service for the outgoing Chancellor of the institution, Professor Joseph Fuwakpe. Professor Fuwakpe's resonating accomplishments within 5 years in the saddle of a citadel were common testimonies from the attendees. Joy Pius reports.
Excited mood at the Federal University of Technology, Akure Futa, as staff of the institution, friends, family members and well-wishers joined the outgoing Chancellor of the institution, Professor Joseph Fuwakpe, to celebrate a successful 5-year tenure. Different choristers enlivened the atmosphere with renditions in appreciation of God for preserving the celebrants to serve with distinctions. The officiating minister, Professor John Olukunle, charged the gathering to emulate Professor Fuwakpe by placing God first in all their undertakings, which, according to him, inspired his legacies.
There is no situation so terrible that Jesus cannot show up. And anytime he shows up, the miracles begin to abound. For instance, in the life out here, I see not with Jesus, showing up at every junction, attending every milestone, silencing and passing, taking all the glory.
The celebrants appreciated God's faithfulness during his term and charged the staff to strive to make the institution better.
It's been great serving as a Vice Chancellor, the 7th substantive Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Akure. The best university of technology in Nigeria. The driving force and the motivation is the grace of God, because it assured me that His presence will go with me and that it will not fail Futa. And that was the key thing we held on to.
God will increase His greatness and comfort him on every side. And I also pray that he will have a good rest, peace of mind, and many more beautiful years ahead.
Staff of the university testified to Professor Fuwakpe's numerous developments.
His time was a time of peace, time of development. So many structures were built, so many leaps academically.
He has really tried for the institute a lot of developmental projects, including opening a new gate, which we know as West Gate in our community, which is a Ilorin community. This will enable the students living around Aule, Ilorin community, Omotosho, and some other communities, neighboring communities, to come around to the school environment and to study, and without coming late to the lecture room.
When he came in, the result, utter for God to intervene, for God to take over. So all his tenure, for the 5 years he has spent in Futa, it was God that was helping him.
He's a God-fearing man. Whenever there's going to be a riot or crisis, he normally uses the word of God first, before saying any other thing.
Professor Joseph Fuwakpe, as the 7th Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Akure Futa, has in the last 30 years elevated the university's system before attaining chancellorship status. The professor of wood technology started his career at the Department of Agricultural Engineering, University of Ibadan in 1982, and later secured appointment as lecturer 2 at Futa in 1984, where he became a professor on October 1st, 1996, before emerging the 7th Vice Chancellor of the institution on May 2017, which tenure ended in May this year. Joy Pius, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities Future Chapter has denied reports it was against the appointment of the first female and 8th substantive Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Adenike Oladiji. The union called on the public to disregard the reports, saying the statement in its entity was not the position of ASU Futa. According to a statement by the chairman of the union, Professor Olayinka Awokwetu, ASU Futa is a union of intellectuals and will not resort to any act that can mislead the public. Professor Awokwetu in the statement said the union is reviewing the process of the appointment of the Vice Chancellor and would decide on the course of action should the need arise. Regardless that level of provocation, jungle justice has no place in the Nigerian constitution. Yet people do not care about consequences of applying mob justice. In the last couple of weeks, Sokoto, Lagos and Edo states have become hotbeds of extrajudicial killings, evoking sad commentaries on the nation's civilization. Saheed Aribisala says respondents stressed the need to go tough on perpetrators of street justice.
The infamous killing of 4 students of University of Port Harcourt in October 2012, referred to as Alu 4, is one case of jungle justice etched in the minds of many Nigerians. But 10 years after the act, jungle justice remains unabated in Nigeria. In the last 1 week, a sound engineer, Sunday David, was burnt to death by a mob of suspected Okada riders over an alleged Naira transport fare dispute in Lekki area of Lagos State. In Edo State, a teenager accused of stealing a motorcycle was burnt to death by a mob. Another with widespread reaction was the Sokoto mob attack that killed a Shehu Shagari College of Education student, Deborah Emmanuel, over alleged blasphemy. Closer home, in Ondo town, a suspected serial motorcycle thief was burnt to death by an angry mob in March this year. According to survey, 190 individuals were killed in the last 2 years. 20 of the victims were reported to have been set ablaze, while others were beaten to death. For many years and for different reasons, mob action and jungle justice have increasingly become the last resort in reaction to an alleged crime committed by another. The worrisome trend bothers some Nigerians.
Whoever that is taking laws into his hands in the name of religion of Islam does not know what he's doing. Government must be exact. Government must come up live and real to the fact that if we fail to nip this in the bud to become a norm, there must be reactions to our actions. There must be consequences for our failures.
Even the law, holistically, does not give room for anybody in any part of the country to take law into his or her hand. It's about position to take. You go to police station, report the matter. The police will investigate the matter. And maybe there's a room for the matter to go on, and they check the matter to court accordingly.
The need for improved responsiveness of security agencies to brewing crisis, as well as the enhancement of judicial processes in delivering judgment on suspected criminals, were identified as factors to curb the spate.
When issues like that happen, they will say, okay, they are bringing them to book. How many have we ever seen in a book? You know, so in a situation like this, jungle justice will come to be, because the perfection of our law enforcement agents are not thorough enough.
A legal practitioner, Ibukun Fasomi, noted that any person found to have assaulted or executed a suspected criminal is guilty of the offense of assault, punishable by 1 year imprisonment, or murder, which is punishable by death under Section 319 of the Criminal Code.
Such prosecutions should be given very wide publicity so that it could deter others, from engaging in such actions or engaging in such barbarous acts.
While in some cases like that of one Mr. Olabi Olayemi, who was almost set ablaze despite his innocence by a mob, the consciousness that anyone could be a victim of bloodthirsty lynchers at any time suggests that no one should be a partaker or supporter of the heinous crime, as 2 wrongs do not make a right. Saheed Aribisala, Osrc News.
And that's Sunshine Reports. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.